Guys, do not forget to hit that subscribe button for boxing news and raw boxing opinions. You know, guys, Anthony Joshua is a hated fighter, right? He's a hated fighter. And he's hated and chastised by American boxing fans. Many American boxing fans make fun of Anthony Joshua, critique his resume, say stuff like he's not the real this, real that. And I'll tell you why this is. Why American boxing fans do stuff like this. First of all, I am an American boxing fan, right? I understand the mentality of an American boxing fan because obviously I've been American my whole life. I've been around Americans my whole life. I understand the mindset of an American sports fan in general, you know, not just of boxing, of, you know, sports. And I'll tell you this. American sports fans, they're competitors, right? They're very competitive. They have a competition in them. You understand me? They have a competition in them. They're very proud. You know, Americans are very proud people. They're a very, very proud group of people. And they have a lot of patriotism in them. You know what I'm saying? I used to be like that. You know, when I was first looking up boxing, I used to be very patriotic. I used to only look at the American fighters. I never looked at, you know, other fighters. Just because I was like, just for like history purposes, I was looking at other fighters. But I always focused on the main American fighters. Because I think it's natural for like boxing fans, like let's just talk about boxing fans because this is about boxing. I think it's natural for boxing fans to be looking at the people who come from where they come from, basically. When it comes to American boxing fans, a lot of them are patriotic boxing fans. That's how they are. They don't like it when a guy who comes from another country is considered, you know, basically the best in their division, and that guy happens to not be American. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been with American boxing fans. You know, some boxing fans, even if a guy's from another country, they could still give that guy credit and show him respect because they're like, okay, you know, he might not talk like me, he might not act, you know, he might not come from, you know, where I come from, he might not eat the same food I eat, but I still recognize his accomplishments and I'll still give him credit. A lot of American fans don't think this way. They just look at it as this guy is not from where I'm from, therefore I'm not going to give him credit. Anthony Joshua is from the UK. He's not an American. He's from the UK. Right? He is a unified champion. You would think a lot of Americans will be showing him appreciation, giving him respect the way I do. But because he's not an American, a lot of the American patriotic fans, they don't want to give him credit. They don't want to give him credit for the simple fact that he is not American. And by the way, I'm not saying every American is patriotic. Every American boxing fan is patriotic. No, obviously, I'm a perfect example of a guy who is an American, but I don't, you know, chastise a fighter just because he's not from the United States. Like I used to back in the day. Back, you know, when I was a teenager, I was very biased. I'm being real with you guys. When I first started watching boxing, I was very biased towards American fighters. I would just defend American fighters, right? But the mindset of an American boxing fan is like this. This is why, you notice, for example, I'll show it like the LDBC. You know, the LDBC are a group of men, boxing fans, who are American, right? The majority of the people in the LDBC happen to be Americans. And you notice how for years they always chastise fighters who are not American and fighters who are considered like pound for pound kings, but they're not Americans, and they'll chastise them. For example, Gennady Golovkin, he's considered the #1 middleweight in the world. For years, the LDBC were chastising Gennady Golovkin. Why? He's not American. He's from Kazakhstan. They can't comprehend that a guy from Kazakhstan is considered the best, middleweight in the world. So they'll just make videos chastising him, and they'll make videos just talking about great American middleweights like, Marvin Hagler and stuff, or Bernard Hopkins. And yes, America has produced great, middleweights, but right now there's no great middleweights. Right now the best middleweight is Gennady Golovkin. So, you know, unless Jamar Charlo beats him, then he is. But right now he is the best middleweight. He has those belts. They do the same thing with Vasily Lomachenko. You see a lot of LDBC members, or not even LDBC members, you know, patriotic American boxing fans just chastising Vasily Lomachenko. Why? He's not American. He's Ukrainian, or he's from the Ukraine. He's considered a pound for pound king. So what do? They make videos saying how he's not this, how he's not that, chastising his resume. I even saw I even saw one channel make a video saying that Alexander Usyk is a pretender. Yeah, the guy who's a unified, undisputed fighter at cruiserweight. He's somehow a pretender. He's not real. You know. Why do people make videos saying stuff like this? Because he is not an American. He's not an American, so therefore they're not going to give him credit for basically fighting all the other champions and becoming unified. They're not going to give him credit. If you remember when Manny Pacquiao was coming up, or no, when he was considered, you know, back in 2009, 2010, I was a teenager back then, homie, and I remember so many Americans were just making videos, just absolutely discrediting all of Manny Pacquiao's accomplishments. Why? Manny Pacquiao is not an American. He's from the Philippines. See, this is the mindset of an American boxing fan. The mindset of an American boxing fan is, oh, this guy's not from my country and they consider him the pound for pound king. You know what? I'm going to do nothing but chastise him. I'm going to do nothing but criticize him. I'm going to do nothing but, you know, demoralize all his accomplishments, act like he ain't shit, act like, you know, he's a pretender, he's a fluke, he's a make-believe champion, he's a paper champion, he ain't the truth. And then I'm going to compare him to other American guys who were champions in his division, you know, from the past. Because a lot of these American channels be doing that. I noticed that. Like, they be talking about past champions from the past who were champions who happen to be American, to basically say, like, this guy's better than this guy. But it's like, it's a different generation, homie. Like, you can't expect every elite, like, you can't expect every pound for pound. Like, a lot of these channels act like only pound for pound fighters are Americans. That's it. Oh, you could only be a pound for pound fighter if you're an American. So you can't be the #1 heavyweight if you're not American. Only Americans could be the #1 heavyweights. That's why they chastise the shit out of Anthony Joshua. They chastise the shit out of him because they're mad that Anthony Joshua is considered the best heavyweight. They get angry when they see me. I'm an American, so when they see me making videos saying stuff like Anthony Joshua is the #1 American, is the #1 heavyweight, a lot of biased American fans, they look at that and they get mad at me. Like, why is he saying this? You're an American, bro. You should be defending Deontay Wilder. Because I'm not going to just defend Deontay Wilder because he's an American like me. I look at the facts and the facts that, and resume. It's all about resume for me. That's why I'll say that he's the #1 heavyweight. You know, at heavyweight, Anthony Joshua. But a lot of these American boxing fans or American boxing channels, they don't like the fact that a guy who's not from America is considered the best heavyweight. So they go around making videos chastising Anthony Joshua's accomplishments, diminishing his accomplishments, acting like he ain't shit. Anthony Joshua ain't shit, bro, because he's not an American, basically. They do the same thing to guys like Vasily Lomachenko. Oh, he's considered pound for pound king, but he ain't American. He's from Ukraine. You know what? I'm going to make videos saying he ain't shit. He a bum. He overrated. I saw one dude say, oh, you want me to consider him pound for pound king? He got to move up and fight Errol Spence Jr. Like, Vasily Lomachenko turned pro at 1/6 and at 122, 126. And you got guys saying, you know, he got to go up, fight Errol Spence Jr., beat him at 147. Like, how is that a fair fight? That's not a fair fight. He's like 4 weight divisions below Errol Spence Jr. That's a complete unfair. You know, I think Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence Jr., I think that's an unfair fight if they do fight, because Mikey Garcia was a guy who turned pro like at 130. And Mikey Garcia is bigger than Vasily Lomachenko. And I think that's an unfair fight. I don't want that fight to happen just because I think it's unfair. I think Mikey Garcia is too small for Errol Spence Jr. So what do you think? I think if somebody like Vasily Lomachenko, who's even smaller and shorter than Mikey Garcia, you know, he turned pro like 122. So But you got some biased ass American boxing fans and biased ass channels saying shit like that. Like, oh, you want me to consider him pound for pound king? You gotta move up to 147 and shit. Just like they were saying about Manny Pacquiao, why he's not an American. See, this is the mentality of American boxing fans. If you're not an American, you have to do, you know, it's funny. A lot of these channels, a lot of these people, they say stuff like this. You know, when it comes to black fighters who happen to be, you know, because a lot of American fighters happen to be black. Let's be real. And they say stuff like this. You know, when it comes to black fighters, they have to work extra hard to get the credit. But in the same token, with a lot of these channels, it's like when it comes to foreign fighters who aren't American, they have to work extra hard for you to give them credit. So you're being a hypocrite right there. How you gonna say for black fighters they have to work extra hard? Yeah, I understand that there's some racist ass boxing channels out there or racist ass boxing fans, but not everyone's like that. Not everyone is, you know, racist and blinded, and they give black fighters a hard time. Look at me, I give black fighters, all my favorite fighters happen to be black, and I give them all the respect in the world because I understand. I look at credibility, their resumes. Guys like Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, and Muhammad Ali, all these guys are black. I give them nothing but respect because I'm a fan of their resumes, what they did. But you know, you got a lot of these channels that act like every boxing fan out there is like racist or some shit, and they don't give a fighter credit, or if he's black he has to like work extra hard. But then I look at that same boxing channel and he's making videos talking about that Vasily Lomachenko got to move up 5 weight divisions, then I'll give him credit. So it's like, how you gonna say black fighters don't get credit, but then you go around saying shit like Vasily Lomachenko? No, how you gonna say black fighters need to work extra hard just to get the credit, but then you go around saying Vasily Lomachenko got to move up 5 weight divisions for you to give him credit? That's him working extra hard. Why can't you just say he's a, you know, pound for pound fighter? You don't have to say he's the #1 guy, but at least say, you know, he's a pound for pound fighter because he's at least managed to win belts in several weight divisions. Why you got to go around saying that you know, Alexander Usyk ain't the truth? He ain't the truth. Meanwhile, he's basically fought every top legit cruiserweight, but he ain't the truth. How is that? Like, how does that make sense? Why you got to go around saying Anthony Joshua, he ain't the real heavyweight champion of the world? You know, he only got, you know, 3 out of the 4 major belts, but somehow he ain't the real. Why? It's because you're angry, you're pissed off that Wilder doesn't have all his belts. That's why. You want Wilder to have what Anthony Joshua has, so you could say he's the #1 heavyweight. But again, it's not no one's fault. It's only Wilder's fault that he's not fighting Anthony Joshua. So instead of taking out all your anger and frustration on Anthony Joshua and just making videos dissing AJ because Wilder's not man enough to face him, instead of chastising him, you should just, you know, look at the bigger picture and look at Wilder's history and look at the fact that he cherry-picked many of his fights. And then think to yourself, you know what? Maybe these guys have a point. Maybe the reason Wilder's not unifying is because he's always been like this. He's always been a guy who was cherry-picking guys, having easy routes to championship, you know, to basically, you know, heavyweight world supremacy and shit. So again, this is the mindset of an American boxing fan, people. This is the type of mindset of American boxing fans. They do not like giving fighters credit who are foreign fighters. This is just how it is. Right? This is why they criticize guys like AJ. They criticize Gennady Golovkin. They criticize Vasily Lomachenko. They criticize Alexander Usyk. They can't be like a fucking non-biased boxing fan. And non-biased boxing fans don't give a fuck if the guy's not from their country. They can still give them credit, man. They can still be like, you know what, he ain't from my country, but I respect what he did. I respect that he fought all these other champions. I'll give him credit. But that's what I'm saying. A lot of American boxing fans think this way. I used to be like that. I used to just give nothing but... I used to give fighters who were not Americans a hard time, basically. A hard time. Be like, you got to work extra hard. You got to work extra hard. I used to do that shit. Like, I remember criticizing I think Carl Froch, when Carl Froch was fighting in the Super 6 tournament, at that point I was very still biased. Like, I was very patriotic, basically, all about Americans, and I was rooting for Andre Ward all day, every day. And I was like, and I remember thinking to myself, what has Carl Froch done? Why? Because he beat what's his name, Arthur Abraham, like, better than Andre Ward or something. Why? Because he's from the UK. He couldn't beat, he lost to Malik. What's that guy's name again? Mikhail Kessler. Something that Ward was able to beat him. Like, I remember just criticizing. I was criticizing back then, back in 2010, 2011. I was just doing nothing but criticizing Carl Froch, because I knew he was going to face Andre Ward at the end. And I knew that the winner of that would be considered the best, basically the best super middleweight, because he would be a unified champion as super middleweight. So I wanted that guy to be Andre Ward, because I'm an American and I'm a biased boxing American fan at that point. So I was just doing nothing but chastising Carl Froch, saying negative stuff about Carl Froch. He's this, he's that, he's not the truth. The same way a lot of these American boxing fans were doing to Anthony Joshua, or are doing to Anthony Joshua at this current moment, just chastising him, making videos saying how he's this, he's that, because they are biased. They have that in them. They're blinded, and all they want to do is criticize. And you know what's funny about me chastising Carl Froch back when he was in the Super 6 is once that whole bias shit got out of me, I actually became a fan. Like, I was rooting for him when he fought George Groves. I was rooting for him when he fought Lucien Bute. I was rooting for him against Lucien Bute and George Foreman. I actually became a fan after that. But I like I said, I understand the mindset of patriotic boxing fans, especially patriotic American boxing fans. They don't like their competitors, that they do not, so they will purposely make fun and chastise and just criticize a guy who happens to not be American and a guy who happens to be in the same weight division as the opponent. When it comes to the heavyweights, it happens to be Joshua. He happens to be in the same weight division as Deontay Wilder. He happens to be the one with the majority of the belts. People happen to be saying he's the #1 heavyweight. This really annoys and pisses off American boxing fans, and they don't like it, people. They don't like it, and that's why they do this. They chastise them to make themselves feel better, because they want, deep down in their hearts, they want Wilder to beat him. They don't want Wilder to lose to Anthony Joshua. They don't want that. And they don't want to give Anthony Joshua credit no matter what. So they're going to just keep being negative against Anthony Joshua and hope that Wilder fights Anthony Joshua and hope that Wilder beats him. And they'll be they'll be going, they'll be just celebrating, and oh my God. You didn't even know. But yeah, it's just a video I wanted to do, guys. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, if you watch the video from start to finish, thank you very much. And please subscribe, and please like the video. I really do appreciate it. I've been getting a lot of subscribers lately, and I do appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm out.